All right. Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome. Good to see a full house here. We're going to go ahead and get started at 11 o'clock. Next slide, please. All guests may register to speak in open forum here. I'll give everyone a second to do that if they want. All right, next slide, please. Land acknowledgement.
We would like to acknowledge that we're meeting on Indigenous land. Moreover, we would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the Gariso and Comecrudo, Guadalican, Galo, Mocawa, Comanche, Ivan Apache, Aladam Crishal, Kikapu, Igor Pueblo, and other Indian and Indigenous peoples and communities who have been or have become a part of land and territories in Texas, here on Turtle Island.
All right, first roll call. If everyone can please fill that out. Reps only. Congratulations. All right, we have a quorum. Next slide, approval of minutes. The chair recommends a motion to approve the October 11, 2022 minutes. Is there a second? Second. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Next slide. Open forum. First up is Brazil.
Hello. Hi. So I just want to go over the legislative accountability package framework that was sent out about a couple of days ago. The main things it does is one, it changes the attendance policy. It adds incentives and it maximizes assembly productivity like during meetings. For the attendance, the main things that are changing is that we're moving to a percentage-based system. We'll also have attendance carry over between semesters, so it's not just one semester, it's throughout the entire term. We have different, the excused absences still stay the same, so just let the ethics chair know and you can get excused. If you reach 70% or below in absences, that's when you go to the ethics chair, and then 60% is the assembly board. And then if you have below 50% attendance, it would start the removal process. The incentives are we're going to be adding a merit-based incentive where there are 3 prizes based on merit. The first place prize would be $300, then $200, and then $100, and this will be given at the end of the year. The committee chairs will be also given scholarship at $500 each, and then the Speaker of the Assembly would be given pay and have tuition credit marked at $5,200. So to maximize assembly productivity, we're planning to do all reports before business and appointments, and then move all unfinished business before new business, and allow representatives and ex officio members to speak on, for, and against any legislation or appointment, limited to 1 minute per individual for a maximum of 10 minutes. in
Your
total.
time is up.
Okay. The speaker will reclaim the remainder of time. We'll now enter Q&A. Are there any questions, Representative Pena?
Paul, can you finish your thought?
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of summarize the attendance policies, if this was to be written and implemented, the attendance policies would be implemented for this year. The incentives would be, and the pay would be implemented next year. But if we're able to fundraise and create our own way of collecting the funds, then we could do the merit-based prizes this year. And the assembly, the changing of the assembly structure would be implemented this year as well. So this is open to change as well. So any advice, any suggestions, or any questions, feel free to reach out.
Representative Weiss.
Rep Weiss, Communications. I am not sure about if what I'm about to say is correct, but wasn't part of the corruption of the 115 having to do with exec getting paid, and people weren't happy that they were getting paid?
Well, exec is still paid. The issue is more that the speaker ends up doing a lot of work and does not have the same recognition as in terms of payment as other members.
Representative Pena.
Rep. Pena, can you confirm, either with Zor, Mr. Speaker, confirm that the Assembly Board had no part in determining the amount of payment for the speaker for ourselves? We had no, that was not our idea. Yes or no?
Yes.
Representative Jordan.
So you just mentioned that, I mean, the Student Assembly deserves like a big stipend, because of the amount of work they do, but I was just wondering, like, isn't that why we added the legislative aid to kind of mitigate, that, amount of work? Just, like, are they doing less work now, we added those for them?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Could you?
Like, you just justified the amount based on the amount of work that they do, and I don't think in a way, I'm sure they do a lot of work, probably more than me, but we just added student aids, like, to help them, legislative aids. So I was just wondering, like, isn't that supposed to alleviate the amount of work that they're doing? Like, why did they deserve such a high?
Well, one of the reasons for the pay for the speaker was because it's not going to be implemented this year. If it is implemented, it would be next year for the next speaker. It's so that the role of the speaker requires a lot of hours every week, and because of all those hours.
Are you making an inquiry?
Oh, I guess so.
Okay, let me check with the parliamentarian. Yeah. Extended, do you know the answer at the top of your head?
I'm sure.
We're not looking for this.
Yeah, we just finished it right now.
Okay. All right, yeah, you can extend. Representative Bailey.
Rep. Bailey, Liberal Arts, motion to extend by 2 minutes.
3 or 2?
I guess 3.
3, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any objection? Seeing none? All right.
So one of the reasons why we want to implement this is because the speaker requires a lot of hours per week in order to do their job. And next year, we don't want that to be a barrier between somebody who needs some sort of financial help, so that they are able to also run for this position and do that work without being restricted by their situation.
Representative Whittington.
Representative Whittington Cola, so isn't the whole point of like your position and the extra clerk to alleviate the stress on the role? So will you continue like the position you're in and like a secondary clerk in addition to the stipend as well?
Yes, it would be for the speaker, not necessarily for the representatives, and this framework is generally to mostly tackle the attendance and the meeting productivity. The incentives is more of a way in order to boost the morale and the kind of drive for representatives to go out there and do stuff.
I'm not really referring to like the representative like incentives thing. It was more so in terms of like the stipend for the speaker. Not that I'm against the concept, but that's just a question. Like, do we need both like the extended level of staff now and the stipend?
So I think that even with staff members, there's still a lot of hours for the speaker. And that is, even with staff members, that's still a barrier towards like, it's over 10 hours every week. So for somebody who would want to do that and also need to work in order to get money would be very difficult. So we don't want to create that barrier between being able to become a speaker and first, somebody who can afford to do so.
Representative Greenwald.
Have you considered the fact that?
Microphone.
My bad. Have you considered the fact that providing incentives for people who put forward more legislation just simply by number, does that not incentivize people to just have more policy objectives? Have you considered instead perhaps say raffling off these stipends for people who have had like perfect attendance or something to that effect, rather than incentivize policy for policy's sake without actually doing anything?
So we have thought about making the criteria attendance, but in general, the criteria isn't how many policies you can or legislation you can churn out. It's more about whether we have a previous system already in place in terms of awards that are given by Speaker, DOS, and the President, and that would be a system that we would incorporate through this in order to deliver the.
I'm sorry, but it's elapsed.
Motion for him to finish his sentence.
Do you
It's already turned on.
keep on?
Motion for him to finish his sentence.
So 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
However long you need, 1 minute.
Is there a second? Any objections? Seeing none?
Okay, so basically we already have award systems in place and we use that as a vehicle in order to deliver the rewards. And the criteria is not really based on how much legislation that you can produce. It would be more on the quality of it. And we're willing to discuss how to make this as objective as possible without any biases. So we're open to that.
Representative Weiss.
Rep Wise Communications, but isn't the problem that we're facing right now retention rate? Like, it's not the chairs or the speaker who are dropping out, it's our assembly members. And so if there should be like a motivation, I feel like it should be addressed to the assembly. Question mark.
We're also willing to look into that as well. We're thinking about possibly expanding the general merit-based awards available to representatives by themselves. So it's more powerful and appealing to everyone instead of just a few individuals.
Okay, the time has elapsed. No other motions? Okay. Thank you so much to the speaker. Next up is Uh-oh. Oh dear. You have it? Oh, hold on. Yeah. Wait, no, we're good, we're good. Representative Pena.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm just up here to discuss, one of two things. One, once again, Parking and Transportation Committee. There was a lot of updates. We had a big 3.5 hour meeting, this past week. Very long, very productive. A lot of very important things got changed. Thank you to all the reps who have sent me things. I know a lot of you all have been sending in complaints and just things that need to get fixed. Please, I'm just here to tell you, continue to do that. There's only about 6 voting members. Most of them are students. We do have the ability to like actually tangibly implement different parking and transportation policies. So please continue to reach out to me about those things. Second thing, I know I did voter information a few weeks ago, just an update on that. We've, not just me, Hope to Vote, a bunch of other organizations, a lot of other advocates, including Leland, everybody like that. We fought really hard. We got to go to the, not we as individuals, but we got enough people to judge and some commissioners to put the resolution of adding the PCL back onto the commissioner's court. They voted on it. Ultimately, they ruled that the Department of Justice, like the US DOJ, ruled that PCL was not up to ADA compliance for a random really reason. The ramp was not the correct angle. Therefore, PCL cannot be a location. Unfortunately, they were not willing to give us another location as we asked for, but we did put a lot of effort. We talked to all the commissioners. We are still doing that. We're still putting pressure on them. Our next solution is to double the capacity of the FAC. So when it comes to election time, we don't have these 6-8 hour waits. Overall, we're still doing that. If you want to help doing that, please reach out to us. We can add to that effort. If you as individuals want to put pressure on your commissioner and Howard, or wherever you live, whoever your commissioner is, or email Andy Brown, the county judge, please do that, or the clerk, the other big one. Please let me know. We'll give you emails. You individually put pressure or join us to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any questions for the representative? Ex officio member Rizvi. Can you talk in the microphone though? Can someone?
Hello, I was wondering, did the Commissioner's Court provide justification as to how LBJ meets ADA accommodations?
They did not justify as to how exactly LBJ is ADA compliant, but what Commissioner Ann Howard, she is the Travis County precinct. I can't remember what number, but she is the UT area. Her justification was that the LBJ people, the graduate students, have been fighting a long time for LBJ to be a location. You know, of course, we all believe graduate students definitely need to vote. The thing is, you know, we have 10 times their numbers. We need the location back here for the undergrad. It's going to be more beneficial for here. Her other justification, unfortunately, was, well, UT students need to start grabbing a bus pass and head over to these locations. It's not a good answer. It's a very bad answer. That's the overall sentiment of much of the Commissioner's Court. Not Judge Brown, though. I will say Judge Brown's been very helpful, but much of the court has not been very favorable. Their view is that UT students can walk, they can drive, they can bus to new locations. That is absurd. So yeah, that was unfortunately the response we got.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. All right, I think that is all the guest speakers we have. Yep, all right, next slide. Quote of the week. Stay the course, when thwarted, try again, harder, smarter, persevere relentlessly by John Wooden. So maybe you can take something with this as we are kind of into midterm season and wrapping up. Next slide, appointments. We have 3 appointments today and Justice Mackey is here, so we'll go ahead and get started with those. I'll let Joel preside. All right. Hey everyone, so Leland and Zoe have appointed me to the UTPD Oversight Committee. As you know, I continue to be a strong advocate for the student body. I want to bring that advocacy onto the Oversight Committee. Some things I want to bring up, I'd like to bring up student issues as it relates to policing in the community, making sure that we put students at the forefront of policies that are going on. I also want to, be an advocate when receiving briefs on from UTPD as it relates to new hiring, people who are hiring onto the force, as well as people who are leaving, use of force policies, which I think are all important to make sure that we have equitable and good officers who are patrolling our campus and making sure that we don't have bad people. So just want to really emphasize student needs, student wants on the oversight committee and hoping to bring that voice. Thank you.
The speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time. Are there any questions? Are you, go for it, Corinne. Ex officio Director Boyd, there you go.
Hi, Kevin. I was just wondering whether you intended to report updates from your appointment back to relevant organizations that have worked on things like the demands for transformative change, who might not necessarily be satisfied with even just an oversight committee, but are intending for more, I guess, aggressive forms of transformative change in regard to UTPD.
Yeah, I am more than happy to do that. Of course, anything that I'm working on personally, I bring up before you all as student government. I'm more than happy to include other groups to report out the stuff that I find and things I'm working on. So most definitely, yes.
Any other questions? Seeing that, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time. Oh, I thought we were just going into the next person. Okay, that's right. Are there any motions? Representative Benya.
I make a motion to appoint Kevin Roberts to the position of police oversight. By unanimous.
Are there any seconds? Any objections? Hearing none, congratulations.
All right, next up is the ESB advisory appointee, Brian Pena.
Hello, everyone. So Leland has been gracious enough to appoint me to the election supervisory board. It's one of those things where we kind of don't all interact with it a lot, but when election season comes time, anyone that ran in the spring knows that these are the people that kind of oversaw all of our elections. They would rule on decisions and complaints and a lot of really important election stuff, not just for student government, but for the co-op board, for like the daily Texan stuff. And I think there's one more representative from a student. But yeah, so overall, this is just the board that decides the people, that essentially interviews them and everything like that, that decides who's going to be on the board that oversees us. Kind of a funny little circle that way. I was lucky enough to meet with Marcus today about the overview of how the committee is going to work, sit down some times. Overall, there's not a lot of policy to do with this. This is really just strictly choosing individuals that we think are responsible and dedicated enough to fill the position, because it is very important, as any of us who are elected know.
All right, the speaker will return to regular time. Representative Tucson.
Are we not considering Chair Pena for the parking and transportation committee as well?
We forgot it. Yeah. We can add, I can do it.
Are you asking an inquiry?
Yes.
Make a motion. Parliamentary inquiry.
Let me consult.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You should take it. Well, no, I was never consulted.
I'm still running, by the way, I do a lot of updates, if anyone has ever followed my Instagram, please, I update you all. on everything.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna. Plug that.
Yeah. Like that you should get all. Yeah.
Wait, I thought
Yeah, no, I just wanted it to be clear, because I didn't, obviously, like, from any third party perspective, this looks like we're just trying to pay ourselves, obviously. We're trying to do that. It's never fun, taking a lot of, I've been looking at that. No, what I heard.
Right.
Do you? Okay. Doing what? Okay. I get that.
Yes. What do you think you want All right, we consulted with I consulted with the parliamentarian. We're going to pass judgment to the assembly, meaning the assembly will have the opportunity to vote if they want to consider this appointment for the Parking and Transportation Committee. So if a majority of this assembly wants to proceed with that, then we can do that. So I'll put the question forward. The chair will recommend a motion to continue or to consider the appointments to the Parking and Transportation Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any objections?
Yeah, no. I buy handbook.
What?
Oh, you have a mechanism? Yeah,
I think by unanimous consent.
yeah, can you hand vote so I can
Sure. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand.
I was gonna say yes, but after that.
Okay, you can lower your hands. People on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay, we can lower it. Those against, please raise your hand. Okay, those on Zoom, please raise your hand again. Okay, people on in here in person, do you abstain? Anyone abstain? Okay, anyone on Zoom abstain? No? All right. By a vote of 30, yes, 0 no's, 1 abstention, the motion passes. We will consider it today. Okay. What motion is it? Okay, we'll now enter the Q&A phase for this. Are there any questions for the appointee?
I have a question.
Representative Holman?
Rep. Holman, UI, Representative Benya, is there anything you'd like to discuss about your qualifications for parking?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to parking and transportation, there's no, I don't think there's any inherent qualifications for this role, other than the fact that, I genuinely care about these issues just because they impact all of us, whether or not you drive to campus, bike to campus, walk to campus, does not matter. This encompasses everything from public transit to bikes, our parking spaces, our garages, our income, the tickets we give out, every little aspect of cars or any transportation needs on this campus runs this committee. I guess the only qualification is I promise I'm up here pretty much every week updating you on the committee, so, yeah.
Representative Whittington?
Representative Williamson, College of Liberal Arts. So Brian, my only question is, do you have a license and do you drive to campus?
I do have a state of Texas driver's license. I walk to campus, but I do have a car.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the speaker will reclaim the regular time and entertain any motion. Representative Koyaza.
Representative Collazo Cola, I move to confirm and appoint Brian Payne to the position of Parking Transportation and PSP Selection Committee by unanimous consent.
Is there a second? Second. Any objections? Seeing none, approved. All right, next up is the C1 ARC Committee appointee, Helen Getachew.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Helen Getachew. I'm chair of the Student Affairs Committee and hopefully a member within the C1 Registration Committee officially. I'm a university-wide representative. I'm sure Adrian's already briefly touched on the committee last Assembly when he got appointed, so I'll just keep it short. Throughout this process, I just hope to be transparent. I hope to be accessible and always willing to bring up any ideas that anyone suggests to me regarding the improvements that they want to see implemented. So just reach out to me or Adrian if you guys have any questions, but we usually will keep you guys updated through basic outlets throughout the meetings every week. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know, but I hope to get it.
Thank you so much. Speaker will retain the remaining time. Are there any questions? Seeing none, the speaker will retain the time and entertain any motion. Representative Tucson.
Introduce that you why I move to confirm and appoint Helen Getachew to the position of a admission registration committee member by unanimous consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none, you are appointed. Congratulations. Chief or Justice Mackey, are you here?
Yep. All right. Y'all ready? Can y'all hear me?
Everyone who was appointed can please stand and rise.
Awesome. All right. All of y'all raise your right hand. And then you're going to repeat after me. I state your name.
Roberts.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute
You solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute
the office of blank
the office of Police Oversight Committee
of the University of Texas at Austin Student Government
at the University of Texas Austin Student Government
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the student government.
the Constitution of the Student Government.
Congratulations, y'all.
Thank you so much, Justice Mackey, and we'll move forward. Is representative reports. First up is Representative Villanueva.
Hello, Representative Villanueva,
College of Natural Sciences representative. I'm currently not working on anything, so I'd like to pass.
Next up is Representative Hoshing.
Rep Poaching, CNS, not working on anything currently. Well, I mean, as the vice chair of academic affairs, we're doing like a free printing bill, but we haven't really drafted anything yet, so it's in the prospects. Thank you.
All right, next up is Representative Basetta.
Hi, I'm Alexis. Currently I'm working with Lee, who's actually the nursing rep a couple of Sundays ago. He's really great. And he's spearheading a health equity next year scheduled for next semester. It's going to be open to all students, so I'll make sure that I know when that is going to happen. So I'm just kind of working on helping him get funding from special projects or just getting our applications together for that. And then I'm also working with the nursing senate representative to potentially get more resources for our internal transfer students. We're starting to reach out to actual internal transfers to involve them in the process and get their input and ask them what they wish they would have had when applying. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move forward with new business. First up is AR 14 in support of an undocumented student center at the University of Texas Austin. It's being fast tracked. We'll give the authors and sponsors 1 minute to explain their fast track.
Or can you give a minute on the team? 1 second.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Welcome to just for more support.
Hello? Apparently I was scared.
No.
Please give the authors your attention, please. Thank you. When you're ready.
I'm forwarding the slides.
Do you want me to put this on the planner?
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Alicia Moreno. I'm the author of this resolution along with many others. We're asking you all to consider fast tracking this resolution because we've been working very closely with Dr. LaToya Smith, who's the Vice President of Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. And she is helping us move forward to present in front of President Hartzell here soon. Not only were we meeting with you all, but also the Senate and the Graduate Student Assembly to hopefully get this joint resolution passed so we can present this to President Hartzell very soon. We're also meeting with the Career Services Department, Legal Services, and Mental Health Services departments this week and next week. And we're hoping, like I said, in a few weeks to get in front of President Hartzell and do our final pitch to create the Rooted Center to support undocumented students on campus. So by fast tracking this bill or this resolution, you're helping us move forward and get to President Hartzell sooner under the direction of Dr. Smith.
All right, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time. The chair will entertain a motion. Representative Pena.
I make a motion to fast track this piece of legislation by me.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any objections? Seeing none, fast track approved. All right, we'll now go into introduction once we get the slides. Leila, can you resend it? We don't have it.
Yeah, I sent it again.
Did you send it to me or Ben?
I sent it to both of y'all. Then a 234@icloud.com.
Yeah, I got the email, but
Refresh maybe. I just scored.
Is it a Google Slide? Maybe I'm check. Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah, I think.
Leland, did you accept it?
We just sent it like again.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, just really, it's okay. All right, we're gonna go get started. All right, whenever you're ready.
So, hello again, my name is Alicia Moreno, I'm a radio member and also the program coordinator of the Monarch Student Program here at UT, and today I'm talking to you all about the proposal for the Rooted Center to support undocumented immigrant students here at UT. Next slide. So we're a collective of students, alumni, staff, and faculty here at UT advocating for equitable access for resources for undocumented students on campus. We can go to the next. So the challenge is that navigating life in college while being undocumented, having temporary status, or coming from a mixed status family comes with unique financial, academic, emotional, and social challenges. What we're proposing as a solution is a center here at UT that provides specific tailored services to students who are undocumented with temporary status or come from mixed status families. So we conducted a campus-wide study. We have some of that info in the resolution. Next slide. And that included 3 data sources, which included our student survey, our student focus groups, and our staff and faculty survey. And on this next slide, we have a quote from Blanca, who's an alum here from UT, who's explaining the impact that it would be on them if we had a center on campus. So they shared, just having people who have that awareness and can make you feel like a human while being a student there would help you overcome a lot of your academic challenges too. But just doing something that will make you feel like a human and being validated by the university itself because you are a member of the university. So what we're proposing, we can go a couple slides here, is that the Monarch Student Program, which currently has 1 full-time staff member, and that's me, turn into the Rooted Center and sit alongside the MEC and the GSC under DECE. And next slide. We hope that this center would include a physical space, 3 full-time staff, 8 student positions, and would foster these 4 pillars, which would be education equity, professional development, student well-being, and research and advocacy. And on this next slide, we have a layout of our proposed center budget. So we're estimating that annual operating costs for the center to fully fund the staff and the positions and materials programming would be an estimated $455,000. Outright support of $1 million would ensure 2 years of center operations. And ultimately, we seek to obtain a $10 million endowment to permanently fund the center. For next steps, we're asking that you all fast track the resolution, which I think they'll already go to, and advocate with administration to create and fully fund the center and establish a working relationship with the Ruby Collective as well as the established center to continue to meet the needs of undocumented immigrant students here at UT. And that's it.
Thank you so much. We're going to enter a brief 2-minute recess to allow you to consult with the bill, and then we'll continue with Q&A. The chair recommends to recess for 2 minutes. Is there a second? Is there any objection? Seeing none, 2-minute recess.
Like, you weren't at the meeting last week, but we like. Yes, the sweaters. What do you mean? And if you're the only one that does it, the price goes up tremendously. Oh, really? Yeah, because. So I can, you can, but it'll be like way more expensive. Exactly, I would go for the it was all you did well today. You had a lot of questions to ask. Thank you. That's part of the thank you.
How do you like UT Cloud? That's not as good.
I never had that before. I like UT Cloud, I don't do Cloud. What? No, I get it. I like your Cloud. I like your Google. Wait, you like it? Wait, you said you like the photo. I heard that. I never had Cloud. I don't do that. Yeah, it's kind of pricey too also. For how it's prepared, I thought it was a little better, but it could be worse.
All right, the recess period has elapsed. We'll now call us back to order. We're now going to begin the 5-minute Q&A period. Are there any questions? Representative Whittington.
Representative Whittington, college remarks. First off, I do really love this legislation. My only question was, y'all said the building wants to be inside of Chester Hall on the first floor. Like, where in Chester were you thinking?
Yeah, so great question. So there's a space currently called the Big Center that's there, Big Career Center. It's currently an underutilized space. There's only a few full-time staff members that are occupying that space. There are plans, Dr. LaToya Smith has been speaking with Dean Reddick over at UGS to see what the future plans of that space are. We're hoping that we will either co-use that space or we would be fully within that space. But we're waiting for final word from Dean Reddick.
Representative Greenwald.
Can you elaborate on where the money is coming from?
Yeah, so currently the Monarch Student Program here at UT is funded from Student Success Initiatives, SSI. We're housed underneath DDC, Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. We're hoping to take those funds that are already coming from the program and transfer that into the center. So like I said, Monarch, the next phase would be the center. We're also hoping funding will come directly from UT Austin when we do that pitch to President Hartzell. Looking at private donors, fundraising, and hopefully after 2 to 4 years, secure endowment.
So follow up to that?
Can you speak on the microphone?
Sure. Follow up to that, just out of curiosity, in terms of funds secured now as opposed to funds that need to either be raised or transferred from these other programs, what does that look like? If you if you don't have an answer to that, that's totally okay. I was just trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, I mean, our current funding is Monarch funding. That's where we're at right now. We're at the beginning of this process. We're trying to gather student body support so we can convince Hartsville to give this support. We already have a lot of administrators in our corner, so we're still at the beginning stages.
Representative Hayes.
Rep. Hayes, architecture. The bill specifically resolves that the center and student government have a working relationship. What would that working relationship ideally look like from your perspective? And what can this assembly do to make sure that it's a productive?
Yeah, I think I have an answer for that right now, and that's just helping us advocate for the creation of the center and for the university to take on that responsibility and fund the center so we can support these students who are students just like any other, but currently they have no space, dedicated resources or services outside of Monarch to support. So really what we're calling is for your advocacy and to help us raise awareness around this issue. In the future, we are a collective. We are student-led, student-centered, and you all are students here at UT, so we hope that we will work together collectively to see what those next steps are.
Representative Pena.
Rep. Pena-Cole, so I'm just curious if you could elaborate on how exactly, you envision the center when it would hypothetically be there, maybe some services it would provide.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we have those 4 pillars, so we're hoping to provide holistic services. We're envisioning kind of what's going on in the NEC. So a space to build community, to feel safe, to step in and walk in and know that those staff members are aware or could be aware and make available resources that meet your unique needs. Currently, they have no space to walk in and feel that right now. So we're hoping that that is going to be a space that offers those tailored specific resources, that puts on programming, workshops and socials and other things that can help them feel like they belong and feel that they are supported in this university.
Representative Piazza.
Representative Collazo. So in the bill, it says that part of the people that you want to include inside the space is also students with temporary status. And I was wondering, does that include international students with like student visas, or what necessarily do you mean by that? Like, who falls under this umbrella?
Yeah, so we're actually hoping to support students who are undocumented with DACA, hold some type of temporary status. It could be an international student who's maybe on a visa and fell out of status and now they're undocumented. Currently, our undocumented student population doesn't feel like the international office offers tailored supportive resources for them. So we're trying to fill that service gap. So no, we don't want to see undocumented students with visas under that umbrella.
Okay, seeing as there's 14 seconds left to speak, when we came to regular time, is there any motion on the floor? Representative Weiss.
A motion to extend to be made by 2 minutes by unanimous consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any objections? Seeing none? Okay, 2 minutes. Any other questions, Representative Weiss?
Rep. Weiss, Communications. Have you considered implementing like a security to this? To my understanding, UT is not allowed to disclose citizenship status of its students, but creating a center could also be a target for haters. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just mentioning this to someone else in this group. There are 49 to 50 Dreamer centers across the country, and 3 of those are in Texas, including one of our system schools, UTSA. There haven't been any incidents to my knowledge of targeting. We do know that UT Austin has a bad history here when it comes to our immigrant population. Just the way my program operates, we support undocumented immigrant students and allies. So just like when you walk into the GSE, you don't assume everybody who steps in that space is queer, right? Or identifies as a woman. Similar with the center, we can't assume that everybody has an undocumented status. You're not aware. And we would never keep a roster or a list of students that could be handed off to an open records request.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Representative Duxley.
Rep, that's a transfer. Do you know why the students feel like the international office is not really helping them? Can you expand that a little bit?
So when we're talking about undocumented support, we're talking about students who might not have a work permit, who have maybe been here for a majority of their lives, who grew up in the United States. Maybe they came when they were teenagers and they were younger. When we're talking about our international student population, these are students that came recently, that are here under lawful presence and don't have that threat of deportation. It's just a very unique population that currently our international office doesn't have the capacity to serve. They once did, but from a year ago when I took over this program, they were very candid with me. There
I'm
was
sorry.
never-
Representative Bailey,
Rep. Bailey, Liberal Arts, motion to extend Q&A by 3 minutes.
is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Okay.
They were very candid with me and they basically said that yes, they used to provide those services, but their current staff capacity cannot provide those services to meet their unique needs. And they expected the Monarch Student Program to pick up that load. But again, I'm one full-time staff member having to help hundreds of students, and not just students here at UT. This center would support, I support prospective UT students, high school students, community college students, prospective transfer students. I do so much support for staff and faculty on campus to train them on how to support undocumented students. And it's a lot for one person. So by pushing forward with the center, we're hoping to secure more staff, more resources, and more funding.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the speaker will reclaim the regular time and will entertain any motion. Representative Coleman.
Rep. Pullman, UI, and I move to the previous question by unanimous consent.
The question is to move the previous question. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none? Okay. Entertain a motion, Representative Tristan.
I move to approve AR 14 by unanimous consent.
The question is to approve AR 14. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none, it is approved. Congratulations to the authors and sponsors. All right, next up is AR 15 in support of a departmentalization, I can't speak. Center for Women's and Gender Studies. It's being fast tracked. So we're gonna go ahead and give 1 minute to allow the authors to explain why they're fast tracking the legislation. Whenever you're ready. Let's give the authors your attention, please.
Okay, so today we're asking that you guys fast track our resolution in support of the departmentalization of women's and gender studies. It's important to note that departmentalization has already been approved. The reason why this resolution was proposed is because they were only approved for a fraction of the amount that they initially wanted. We can't give the official numbers because they haven't been published, but they have been cut down significantly, and they need that full support in order to create the department, which is what they're wanting to create a new physical space, and the PhD program, as well as expand their master's program and to be able to represent their faculty in cases of tenure. Tenure, as we know, is a really big deal this year, as well as critical race theory. We're talking about women's and gender studies. Critical race theory and everything having to do with gender and sexuality is extremely contentious in Texas right now, and we're asking for a fast track so we can get ahead of the election in our conversations with Dean Stevens and Provost Wood when we're talking about full funding for this department.
All right, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of time. We'll now enter Q&A. Is there any questions regarding the fast track? All right, speaker will reclaim the time. I will entertain the motion. Representative Whittington.
Representative Whittington, Cola, motion to grant fast track by unanimous consent.
The question is to approve a fast track. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Fast track is approved. We'll now enter introduction phase. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so, sorry. As I previously mentioned, this resolution is in support of the departmentalization of the Center for Women's and Gender Studies. So basically what we're asking specifically for is $500,000 towards an administrative staff budget. This is in addition to the existing Center for Women's and Gender Studies budget, as well as 7 new faculty lines over 5 years, including 2 new endowed chairs, 2 postdoctoral positions per year for the next 5 years, and 4 5-year funding packages per year to support the new PhD program starting in 23-24. So basically, we're at, the point of this resolution, and it was already passed unanimously in Senate and fast tracked it there as well, is to show student support for the full funding of the department. Part of the reason why we're doing this is because it's so essential to give the Center for Women's and Gender Studies that kind of monetary and I guess practical guard going into the legislative session. We know that critical race theory is such a huge deal, and when it comes to the topics and the specializations within this department or currently this center, they range from disability studies to there's a huge amount of the professors that are cross listed for both African expert studies as well as women's and gender studies, and basically, sorry. Oh, I totally forgot. So the LGBTQ minor is also nestled within the Center for Women's and Gender Studies. Departmentalization would also see an expansion there, specifically when we're talking about trans rights and trans justice. That's another huge deal going into this legislative session. So really trying to get ahead of the election for one thing, because we know that this administration aligns very closely with people that are likely to end up in power once again after this election. We're trying to catch them while they're a little bit nervous so that we can use that to sway them in favor of the center.
And the center itself has served as a mechanism of support for so many students on this campus, especially marginalized students at a PWI. So a matter of departmentalization essentially help in validating those experiences and providing more material support to the students that are part of these programs.
Okay, I will also add, I totally forgot like my big part of this. The University of Texas is one of the only flagship state universities without a department for women's and gender studies. We're also one of the only research, or I guess R1 research universities that does not have a department for women's and gender studies. Our women's and gender studies program is also nationally recognized across multiple specializations because they do so much. And another really big concern that they have is that they're setting up these students through their master's programs to go pursue PhD programs somewhere else, despite having nationally recognized incredible faculty right here at home because we don't have a PhD program in place. Departmentalization would also come with the creation of the PhD program. I think I'm good.
Okay, speaker, we're kind of out of time. Thank you so much. All right, so here we recommend a 2-minute recess to caucus internally regarding legislation before into Q&A. The chair recommends that. Is there a second? Is there any objection? Seeing none, okay, recess.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I think the hardest part is in terms of the speaker, I think emphasizing more.
All right, the time has elapsed. We'll go ahead and start the Q&A period of 5 minutes. Are there any questions for the authors and sponsors? Seeing none, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time and will entertain the motion. Representative Whittington.
Motion to approve AR 15 by unanimous.
Previous question.
Motion to previous question AR 15 by unanimous consent.
The question is to move the previous question. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none. All right. Representative Whittington.
Motion to approve AR 15 by unanimous consent.
The question is to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none. Approved. Congratulations to the author and sponsors. All right, we'll now go into unfinished business. Next slide. AB7, authorizing the Assembly to remove Representative Alex Gonzalez. Before we start that process, I want to reiterate to the Assembly that matters of question are to be directed directly towards the authors, sponsors, myself. Representative Gonzalez is not here today, has not shown up. So we will continue with the bill as noted. Whenever you're ready.
So a quick committee update was just that we amended this section number 1 to fix the error we had made regarding the code. The committee, the Ethics and Oversight Committee approved this by unanimous consent. Vice Chair Singer, Representative Weiss, and Representative Maceda are now sponsoring.
Okay.
That's it. That was committee update.
Oh, that's it? Okay. Okay, we'll now enter introduction.
Yeah, so like Gerald and I had mentioned last week, Representative Gonzalez has been reached out to multiple times. He has not made efforts to communicate with us effectively and ultimately did not share any thoughts or opinions when we met with the Assembly Board 2 weeks ago. He now has 6.5 absences. So
Yeah, and the code says like after you have 4 absences, the Assembly should not be lenient. And typically, like if there are some extenuating circumstances that we understand, of course. But in this case, nothing was presented to us. Again, like I mentioned last week, when we gave him the opportunity to speak with us at the Assembly Board, he just like kind of yelled into the mic and left. He still hasn't reached out over a week later, so it's clear to us that he doesn't want to be here, and we can build a space with someone interested in advocating for students.
Okay, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time. We'll enter Q&A. Are there any questions? Representative Hayes.
Hayes, architecture. This is more a matter of curiosity. Under the proposed legislative accountability package, do you know what his cumulative percent absence is like since Assembly started?
That is a great question. I am not aware. I would imagine it's below the 60 or 50% threshold.
Point of information?
Point of information.
It's 0.
Sorry, what?
It's 0.
It's 0. Oh, okay.
Well, no, from the package, I'm sorry, I should not be presiding here, but in the package, it was starting from this fall. He's not been to anyone since this fall, so it would be 0.
he came to happy meeting.
Oh, did he?
It was like 5%.
Okay.
Next question. But
Any other questions? Representative Williams? No? Okay, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time and will entertain any motion. Representative Pena?
I make a motion to approve 87, but
Previous question.
I move the previous question.
Is there a second? Question is to move the previous question. All right, any objections? Okay, no objections approved. Representative Piazza?
Representative Liberal I move to approve AB7 by unanimous consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none, approved. The clerk will notify the president and the dean of students office. That's not a clapping moment.
Not really a good thing.
Financial Director Wynn.
Point or requested for information. So it is my understanding that AR 13 had gone to committee. Can the speaker please clarify why this is not returned to the floor after a couple of weeks?
Yeah, the Office of the Dean of Students Legal Counsel is currently reviewing the legislation. It still continues to be pending by legal affairs, and I'm waiting to hear back. I've waited 3 weeks now, so. Yeah. Representative,
I move discharge from Legal Affairs AR 13 and consider it by unanimous consent.
okay, there is a motion to discharge AR 13 from the committee and to present it to the floor for vote today. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Is there any objections? Seeing none? Approved. We'll now enter introductions. Okay, can you like,
Wait, can someone send a bill on the side or something?
Wait, point of information, Representative of Southern College of Natural Sciences. If we vote on it today, won't the dean students, legal teams still want to look at it, discuss it, block it? So we just need some records here.
yeah, the chair is not gonna like enter hypotheticals and entertain anything that they will do, but I will say that that is their liberty, yes. Okay, we'll enter. Yeah. Whenever.
Yeah, so this is the bill that me and James had brought up a few weeks ago regarding Prop A, which is going to be on your November ballot, which is the housing bond. We already brought up, we had some questions, we discussed it. Ultimately, like Kevin said, it did go up for review. The thing is, yes, hypothetically, this could go into review forever. I think some of our bills this year will go into review indefinitely. At this point, we still believe it should be passed because ultimately, the Dean of Students review process is irrelevant to us if it's going to be indefinite. They've given us no time when they will release it. There's other bills I believe are still not released, if I'm not mistaken. We just want to pass it either way, regardless of what they say, you know.
Okay, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time, and we'll now enter a 2-minute recess to allow you all to re-review and caucus over it. The chair recommends motion to recess for 2 minutes. Is there a second? Okay, there's a second. Is there any objection? Seeing none. 2 minutes.
Like the recess?
You can do whatever you want.
Yes or no?
You do whatever you want.
It's not advised.
Okay. Just over the recess, just if anybody wants info on the bill, if you don't, that's, it's a $350 million bond. Essentially, it's going to be repaid via property taxes over the next 10 years. As of right now, the things that it's going towards is not limited to but guaranteed land acquisition, rental housing development assistance projects, owner housing development assistance projects, and home repair programs. According to the analysts, this will not raise property taxes for the next 2023 cycle. Property tax raises will begin after that. If you have any other questions, please ask me during the recess of the next 40 seconds. Yeah, I'll tell.
Why did the Dean of Students not?
Yeah, so without going into too much detail, Dean of Students is not a fan of us being super political. If you know, most of us, you know, me or James, we're very political people. You know, so yeah, political bills aren't great for the DOS. We're still going to pass them anyways because that's absurd for us not to be. Waiting.
No.
No, you won't. No, you will not. All right, the recess period has elapsed. We'll now enter into a 5-minute Q&A period. Are there any questions for the authors and sponsors? No questions? All right, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of time and will entertain a motion. Representative Hoshing.
I motion to move the previous question.
There was a question to move the previous question by,
Yeah, Mr. Consent.
is there a second? Any objections? Seeing none? Okay. Representative Piazza.
I move to approve AR 13 by unanimous consent.
Is there a second? Is there any objections? Seeing none, AR 13 is approved. Oh, there is an objection. Can you make a motion? Microphone.
Motion to approve AR 13 by Andrew.
Okay.
Object.
Okay, there's an objection.
Rep. Holman UI, can I move to approve AR 13 by a roll call?
Okay, there is a roll call vote requested. The clerk will call the roll. Representative Right.
You just say yes or no.
Yeah.
AR 13. This is the pending one. It's the housing one that you just said. Yeah, the one we moved. In my defense, recess was confusing. Since it wasn't actually recess. Yeah, if you remember. I mean, there is no like formal structure to recess. Yeah, but generally speaking, recess requires swings, arcs, and kickball perhaps, rather than. I can try. I'll put in a request. Special project. Yeah, we can try.
All right, the clerk will call the roll. Please give the clerk your attention.
Can we have question time?
That period has elapsed. We're now voting.
Move.
We're in the middle of voting. We cannot stop the voting process. Clerk will call the roll.
Okay, Representative Bailey,
Yes.
Representative Balakrishnan,
Not present, right?
Representative Banjara. Representative Banjara. Representative Cannon. Representative Sindrick. Representative Klassen.
Yes.
Representative Collazo.
Yes.
Representative Uruguay.
Yes.
Representative Jackson. Representative Feinstein. Representative Daniel. Representative Daniel. Representative Sherman.
Yes.
Representative Benadju.
Yes.
Representative Vincent. Representative Greenwald.
Yep.
Representative Holland.
Yes.
Representative Hancock.
Yes.
Representative Hayes.
Yes.
Representative Hernandez. Representative Boshier.
Yes.
Representative Coleman.
Yes.
Representative. Down.
Yes.
Representative Vinegar.
That's it. He's not here.
Representative Lujan. Representative Lujan. Representative Laceta. Representative Miguel.
Yes.
Representative Miyahara. Representative Moore. Representative Mosley. Representative Glenn.
Yes.
Representative Benya.
Yes.
Representative Rogers. Representative Bryant. Representative Sanchez. Representative Sinnottomley.
Yes.
Representative Tristan.
Here, yes.
Representative Bergman.
Oh, yes.
Representative Villanueva. Representative Villanueva.
Yes.
Representative Weiss.
Abstain.
Representative Whittington.
Yes.
Representative Ozuna.
Yes.
Representative Balakrishnan.
Still not.
Representative Banjara. Representative Cannon. Representative Cedric. Representative Bassett. Representative Daniel. Representative Hernandez. Representative Univar. Representative Yahara. Representative Mosley. Representative Rogers. Representative Sanchez.
Does anyone wish to change their vote? Okay. By a vote of 25 yes, 1 no, 2 abstentions, AR 13 passes. Congratulations to the authors and sponsors. All right, next slide. Ex officio reports. Is anyone here from GSA, Senate, external appointments, the committees, have anything that they want to report? Nope. All right, next slide. Office of the Dean of Students reports. No. All right, next slide. Executive board reports. First up is advocacy director.
Hello, if you are able and willing to donate blood on December 13th, which is the day after finals end, please scan that QR. A few of you have like 2, but please, if you can, scan the QR, because ideally we would have 30 people on that list. And it would be great if we could get some more reps. So I met with women in mechanical engineering about just like safe spaces on campus. The notes are in the drive. That'll be an ongoing thing. Another meeting and that women in engineering program. That's about retention programming. We'll talk about that. Just we're doing interviews for the policy director spots that are currently not filled. So we should know that by the end of next week, which is exciting, and then they'll have to come get confirmed at some point. Yay, so that's coming up. My LLA is in a couple days, yay. And then I'm in contact with UHS, which was amazing. They emailed me back in less than an hour. Crazy, because I've been waiting for the student health advisory committee to email me back for weeks. We went around. And then if you guys have initiatives, put in the folder. You can check on what we're doing on the initiative master list, and that's all for me.
All right, next up is comms director.
Hi, those are my LLAs. They're all awesome. Be nice to them and them. Yeah, right now we're doing media outreach for Hook the Votes polling advocacy. So we actually got an interview with the Texas Tribune, which is really exciting. And they'll be hearing about that tomorrow, which is really exciting. Very hopeful that we can actually make it a publication. We'll see what happens. But very exciting opportunity nonetheless. A couple of my graphic designers need submissions for like more fun SG content. So please check the general Slack for that. It's like cute little white like SG stuff. So please submit. And I'm meeting with my web developer on Thursday to come up with a strategy for outreach for the website. So I'll be doing more updates about that. And I didn't change the song. I forgot to finish my slide. So sorry.
All right, next up is admin director.
Okay, so my own legend out on there by so lovely, so shout out to them, Morgan, Barsha. So besides that, EIA, Jerry, they had their meeting Sunday. IS and LLA had a meeting yesterday, EEA and PTC is having a meeting tomorrow. LLA is having their event this Thursday, so well, we're gonna have our Halloween movie night next Wednesday. So if y'all can most definitely scan the QR code on the right to vote for Halloween movie. I say switches, but you know, if y'all say something different, we can do that. But just know if you don't do switches, I will have beef with you. Stream Spread Thin by Mariah the Scientist, because that's how I'm feeling. And most definitely read my Infinity Characters back. Please give it a piece. Let's read.
All right, next up. All right, next up is our financial director.
Hi, since Rick is dead, special projects stuff there. Actually, it's project, but for serious updates. So with Representative Green's resignation, now we'll have to forfeit his position on the Endowment Governing Board. I cannot reopen this position for the fall semester, but the chair, me, and appointed replacement members of the Assembly Board and Executive Board will be receiving a message tonight discussing on how we'll proceed with this with the advice of the financial advisor. Not really that many updates. If you have ideas, please reach out to me. Love my LLAs, and then don't buy a plane ticket to get a haircut, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
We're not done.
So I will move the motion. It's been motioned, but I will warn that all of y'all have not done the second attendance and you all will be marked for that. So
That's not true.
that's how that works.
If the meeting is adjourned, the meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, the meeting's adjourned, but there is still second roll call and we would have not done second roll call.
That's not true. I'm going to bed.
Parliamentarian.
I mean, I can consult with the parliamentarian, but I mean, looking at the section, it's not on there. There is no second roll call. There would be nothing. So.
So are we voting on the motion now?
So.
Motion to move to roll call.
Wait, why? I just put it up. Send you the.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? Is that?
Just finish it. Go ahead. I rescind my motion.
Sorry.
Okay, wow, that was fucking weird. Okay, so updates, SU directory is going through the final brush up stages, so we're gonna be sending that in Slack. All of y'all's contact information is in there. I think I'm just missing a few committee members from rules and regulation and academic affairs, so if y'all can get that to me as soon as possible, would be great. Voices Against Violence workshop is scheduled for one of our IOGM meetings. It's either going to be on November 6th or November 13th. It's a brief intro into DAV and resources that are available on campus. Extending that invitation to the legislative branch. If you don't want to come by, it'll be on a Sunday at 3 p.m. Leland and I just had our second recruitment reflection ad hoc meeting. We met with new members, executive board members, agency co-directors, really refreshing conversation. And our end game is we're going to compile a report and findings for the next administration to help with the transition. I also got my LOAs, shout out Jimmy, Oliver, and Farhan. The deputy chief of staff and I are going to be scheduling a meeting with them next week, maybe coffee and donuts. Speaking of the deputy chief of staff, my new one is here. Her name is Sophie. She's great. Sophie, say what's up.
Hi.
Okay, awesome. That's it for me. Also, Celtics are up 98-88.
All right, next up is Vice President.
Hi, everyone. Just some highlights from last week. We met with the co-op and we finalized more details on our free headshot event. It's going to be in November. That's going to be really great. I'm also doing 2-on-1 with all our exec board members, and we had a faculty council meeting yesterday. Also, we had our second community distribution last Friday, and it was really successful. I was there for 4 or 5 hours at Leland. TDI caucus is helping me with some outreach and missing a film. Thank you, Adrian and Helen. GSA is also helping me find a grant representative for SSBC we can get started. And our Student Business Empowerment Initiative Club, we have some really, really amazing student business owners that we're selecting. We're going to send over to the co-op and we're going to have a full ribbon cutting ceremony in November. On the horizon, we're having our Title IX meeting tomorrow. We're meeting with the Food Security Action Team on institutionalization because we want to become an agency. And we're meeting with the Outpost on Friday, rescheduled from last week. I also got my LOAs, which are up there, so welcome. And then, yes.
All right, next up is the president.
Hi, everyone. Keep it super quick. Shout out to my LA mentees, Bella, Grayson, and Leah. They're awesome. PSAC, we're finally having orientation with Marcus and Jean Lilly and possibly other people. 4:30 next Wednesday. So I don't really know what to expect by that, but y'all will be hearing updates. As mentioned, we got really positive feedback for our community food distribution this past week. Third internal recruitment reflection ad hoc meeting is tomorrow. And then I'm still coordinating with Marcus about the selection process for the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. But the applications should be going out in a university-wide email next week. And anyone here can also apply to that. And that's like a state level position. So yeah, that's all my updates.
All right, Assembly Board reports. First up, rules and
Hi,
procedures.
everyone. First, congratulations to Cosmo, who's not here, but for the committee. And just as a heads up, we'll be next weekend. And I'll make sure that we're taking so everyone can give their input to which I'm expecting them.
All right, academic affairs.
Yeah, really quick, just turn on your Slack committee updates. Oh, you didn't refresh it, but our next meeting is gonna be 6:30, right before Assembly next Tuesday.
All right, financial affairs. Vice Chair, do you have anything to update from the committee? Awesome. Next slide. Governmental affairs.
Yeah, that's not updated, but if you have anything parking, transportation, or elected supervisory board related, just reach out to me.
All right, student affairs.
No updates.
All right, next slide. Okay, follow us on social media, as I say every week. I am meeting with the College Affordability Task Force, so that's Ryan, myself, Rizal, Representative Miyahara on Wednesday. We're setting a meeting with the Office of Financial Aid and other relevant stakeholders like the endowment, not the endowment, I'm sorry. No endowment, I'm sorry, yes. So we're working on that. I'm still praying with APD on notifications. Hopefully, being on the oversight committee, I will get a chance to voice that a little bit more. Legislative accountability package is still in the works. Based off the conversation we had earlier in open forum with the legislative director, there are some changes in the final version that will be in the final draft. So more on that hopefully to give out Thursday or sooner. I'm still awaiting a response from DOS as to what they say regarding the incentives. Based off the conversation, I hear that they are maybe open to doing something. I don't know if what we propose is maybe too far for them. So waiting to hear back. Of course, I'm still working with the National Coalition regarding student loan debt. As you all, or some of y'all may know, the student aid, student government, or student aid application for student loan debt is open. If you go to studentaid.gov, you can apply for student loan debt relief. It literally takes less than a minute. I encourage you to do that if you have student loans. And then, of course, I am reaching out to the NSC Council in the coming weeks and the graduate students, any graduate students, to fill the current vacant positions. Next slide. All right, please fill this out for anyone to shout out, and please fill out the anonymous feedback form if there are any concerns that you may have. I'll give everyone a second to do that. All right. All right, mental health resources, please utilize these should you need them. They are here. Next slide. All right, announcements. Are there any announcements from anyone? Seeing none, next slide. Second roll call. Any objection to close the attendance form? Seeing none, okay, the chair recommends motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Any objections? Seeing none, we're adjourned. See you next week. I didn't.
I can't read lips, so.